It's just Rachel again, coming to you from my garden, and I'm just sitting out in my swing chair and I've been reading my new book. See, I'm about halfway through. Very good, really enjoying it, and recommend it to everybody. Very well written, nice easy reading, even though it covers a bit of historical stuff, but he does it in a way that's easy to digest. It's not dry, it's good. Thanks, Lloyd. Anyway, I've just finished watching in the last week the Leah Remini series about Scientology, and I think it's called Leah Remini Scientology in the Aftermath, something like that. And there's 8 episodes, and it's screening in New Zealand at the moment on CI channel. I don't know how many people will get to see that. It'd be good if it was on one of our main TV channels, but anyway, some people will see it. And I thought it was very good. I really recommend everyone watching it. And I think it's good that she's taking her time with it. Each episode is an hour, and she's interviewing different people who have left Scientology. Some of them have been fairly high up in the organisation, Sea Org members, and one of the guys is, he was one of their main security guys who was responsible really for harassing and following, intimidating, spying on former members who had left and who were speaking up about the organisation. So they had some really good interviews on there, and I like that with each episode she really focused a lot on the disconnection, which is a bit like disfellowshipping for witnesses, where Scientologists are pressured to disconnect from someone who has left or who is speaking out against the church or against its leader, David Miscavige. So I like that it's that repetition for emphasis thing, that talking about it in each episode, I think, is really good for people in other high control groups. They can see the similarity, and it's not just glossed over. I found it really quite fascinating watching, because it seems that Scientology, at least at the entry level, seems very benign. The people seem to feel that it's benefited them in their life, given them confidence in their businesses and their daily lives. It's made them assertive, and they buy into it pretty early on, and seem to, because this Dianetics program seems to work for them, they then seem to just put implicit trust in anything that comes from Scientology, from Ron Hubbard. That's sort of a bit like with witnesses too. When you first start studying, you learn a few key truths that seem very logical, at least superficially. People seem really nice and friendly, and you buy into it pretty quickly. And I know this is what happened with me, and you soon give over all your trust to the leadership of the organisation and stop questioning them. So I can see the same thing happening with the Scientologists, although they take things up to a whole nother level in some areas. But so things can be, initially at least, things can seem pretty benign and actually quite good. But in Scientology, of course, they're strongly encouraged to move up the bridge, as they call it, to gain more enlightenment. And of course they have to pay to do that. They have to pay for their courses, pay for their books, they have to pay for their auditing. Absolutely crazy, yet this organisation calls itself a charity. So they're very strongly motivated to move up this bridge and part with their money as they go. So they're putting a lot of, they're investing a lot in it financially and time-wise. And I guess the same with the witnesses too. Some would argue that you are giving up a lot financially, but there's no, no one comes in and gets you to write down how much you're giving or anything. So, some people can be witnesses and give very little financially. However, you do have to give of your time, and you have to sacrifice things, give up things, in order to be out in the preaching work, to go to the meetings and fulfill all your other theocratic obligations. So when you become invested in something, it's hard to backtrack and give up. I guess if you've already paid $100,000 into Scientology, it would be very difficult to sort of back off and admit that you've perhaps made a mistake and it's not the way you want to go. But anyway, I find the way that Scientologists will defend Scientology, even as they get higher up, it's really like they've got blinkers on. They refuse to acknowledge the problems that it has. And the same with Jehovah's Witnesses, and I guess any other group like it. The more that's invested, and the more brainwashed you are into believing that what you're doing is, like for Scientologists, it's for the better of humankind, and that they believe that the future of humanity depends on them and what they do. So they're not only bettering themselves, but giving humankind a future. So and this is sort of conditioned or brainwashed into them right from early on, and there's that pressure on them to stick with it, because if they stop, perhaps they could be seen as being selfish and not caring about humanity. With witnesses, of course, the mission is to preach to everyone on the earth before Armageddon comes, so that they might be saved. So you have that weighing on your mind as well, to keep you in, so that perhaps if you feel you don't want to do that, then you feel guilty that you don't care about people. So there's that pressure, like it's all on you to save your neighbours, get them through Armageddon. So a lot of guilt, a lot of weight on your shoulders. Scientology takes things to a whole new level though when it comes to their treatment of apostates, because they actually, anyone that speaks up against them, even if it's journalists, they will become the target of hate crime basically. They will be harassed, they will have websites made up about them with false information, terrible slanderous stuff about them, and really trying to break them down, and they succeed in doing that. And it's no wonder that few people take them on, because they seem to have this power to be able to destroy a person, destroy their reputation, destroy their career, their employment prospects, alienate them from their families, tell people that they're prostitutes and pedophiles. Apparently they do that. There's no bottom to the depths, the lows that they will go to destroy a person who they see as a enemy of the church or enemy of David Miscavige, their leader. So I think they call it fair game. If someone criticises the church or their leader, then they're fair game. Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't do that exactly, but they do resort to what they call theocratic warfare, where they feel it's okay to withhold information from those who are enemies of God's organisation, or to not be entirely truthful with them. But at least, you're not if you're an ex-witness, you're not going to be hounded like that by the organisation. Maybe individuals or maybe some elders might hound you. But yeah, it's very, very interesting anyway, the series, and I give it a big thumbs up, and I really hope that Leah makes more. This was called season 1, so I guess that means she plans to do further seasons of the program, and I think if it's out there regularly screening, people will take more notice of it. And the last episode had the cult expert Stephen Hassan on it, who he's had a little bit to do with talking with witnesses as well. He was a former Moonie, and he was actually moved to tears when he was interviewed by Leah Remini, because he felt that she was perhaps leading the way forward, and getting it out there, exposing how these high control groups operate and how they get followers and how their followers stay. Because to a lot of people that's a mystery, it's a cult, why can't they see that, and why do they stay? But they need to understand the way these things work. It's like that boiling a frog. They put the frog in the cold water and bring it to the boil and it doesn't notice. But if you put it into the boiling water straight away, it will jump out. But those of us who have been in cults, we're kind of like slow boiled. It's insidious, we don't really know it's happening to us, but it is. And this is what the world needs to be aware of, and especially our young ones, that we don't want them to get involved in these kinds of groups. Anyway, so that is my recommendation to watch that series, and I hope you find it as informative as I did. Bye for now.